Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. In my last video I discussed about China and about the Communist Revolution, where I discussed about the Treaty of Nanking, Treaty of Tianjin, Boxer Revolution of 1911, Sun Yat-sen, Rise of Mao and Communists, and about the Chiang Kai-shek and Taiwan. In this video I am going to discuss about Africa, its colonization. I will also discuss about the process of decolonization, independence of Ghana, Nigeria, rise of nationalism in Egypt, and about the Suez Canal crisis, end of apartheid in South Africa, and about the role of India in ending the apartheid. Finally, I am going to discuss about some of the important topics like socialism, capitalism, and communism. So what are we waiting for? Let's start our discussion with the colonization of Africa. In 19th century, the imperialistic expansion was made in Africa. It was close to Europe. Europeans had very little knowledge about its interior. Most of the European countries were afraid to go to Africa, deep inside. In 19th century, some European missionaries went to Africa to spread Christianity. There were two conferences held in 19th century. First was Brussels in 1876 and next was the Berlin in 1885. After these conferences, colonization of Africa started. In Brussels conference, it was decided by the Belgian ruler Leopold II that Britain and Portugal formed a joint commission to control the Congo River. In 1885, the Berlin Conference was organized, and in this conference, the European countries which control any coastal region in Africa will get priority in the control of the interior areas. And this became the artificial division of Africa. Each European countries must notify other countries about the territories which they are having the possession. So as a conclusion, tribal conflict still exists in Africa due to this artificial division. Now we have to understand about how the decolonization process started. It started in 20th century due to the World War II, particularly after the United Nations organization. There was a huge development in various parts of the world, and Africa also witnessed independence movement. Britain had control over areas like Congo, Gold Coast, which is known as Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria in West Africa. Africa is resourceful, such as rubber, ivory, gold, diamond, copper, etc. were exploited resources in Africa. Now we have to understand the first independence movement which started from Ghana. The Convention People's Party was formed by Kwame Nkrumah in the Gold Coast of West Africa by uniting the people. He was Western educated elite of Ghana. He received his education in America and England. After getting the modern education, he came back to Ghana in 1947 after getting acquitted with civil rights. He started with the boycott movement, and European goods were boycotted to avoid imperialistic exploitation. In sequence, there were strikes and violent demonstrations, due to which he was arrested. But he had to be released due to the widespread public support. The Gold Coast, Ghana, was completely liberated in the year 1957 from Britain. Next country was Nigeria. It was also a colony of Britain, and there was also public discontent due to colonial exploitation. The prominent nationalist leader here was Nnamdi Azikiwe. He received modern education from America, and in 1934 he returned back to Nigeria and joined journalism. He opposed injustice and exploitation and demanded human rights. Due to the opposition, The British government had delegated some rights to the people under a new constitution. Nigeria was fully independent as a republic in 1963. Next is how the nationalism is raised in Egypt and what was the Suez Canal crisis. Ottoman Empire was established and Turkey was the head of Khalifa. In 19th century, Turkey turned into sick man of Europe. Taking the advantage of this, Muhammad Ali declared himself the ruler of Egypt. He started modernization of Egypt and started construction of many dams and the barrage in the order to connect Egypt. During the time of Sayyid Pasha, 1857 to 1863, the construction of Suez Canal had started. He gave the contract of construction to the French company. Sayyid Pasha was a great entrepreneur. The entry point of Suez Canal is on his name, Port Sayyid. The purpose of the construction of Suez Canal was to connect the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. It will shorten the trade route between Asia and Europe. Suez Canal was opened for public in 1869. Britain and France were major beneficiaries of Suez Canal. It has increased the operational efficiency of trade and was with strategic importance. During the time of Ismail Pasha, there was a monetary crisis in Egypt, so he sold most of the share of Suez Canal to Britain. Now Britain had taken control of Suez Canal and the permanent military was stationed. British military was for the safeguard of entire strategic operation. During the Second World War, there was an agreement in between Britain and Egypt that after the war, British government will pull out its army from Egypt. But after the war, Britain betrayed the agreement. We can say that Britain did not comply the agreement. Therefore, tension in between Egypt and Britain increased. This tension reached to its climax during the time of Colonel Nasir. Colonel Nasir had a plan to construct a Aswan Dam, and for that, huge fund was required. There was no alternate source of income for Egypt, so he made an announcement to nationalize the Suez Canal. Britain, France, and Israel jointly invaded over Suez Canal. They stopped this war with the intervention of United Nations, America, and Soviet Union, due to which Egypt's right over Suez Canal was finally recognized. It also increased the nationalism in Egypt. Now the next aspect is the end of apartheid in South Africa. The Union of South Africa was formed by merging the Cape Colony, Transvaal, Natal, and Orange Free State regions of southern region of Africa. According to the Western historian, Africa was referred as the Dark Continent. But Nelson Mandela gave a new name, Rainbow Nation. In 17th and 18th century, there were lots of migration from Europe to Africa. The major migrants were Dutch, English, and Portuguese. Blacks were the majority here, but they had to face the racist policies of the white government. The entire stateless system of South Africa was dominated by the white government. There were many laws passed by South African government which discriminated black and white, like the Registration Act, in which the black people were supposed to register before the local authority and they had to carry the identity card. Second was the Immoral Act. Any kind of relation in between the black and white was punishable offense. Third was the Christian Marriage Act, or we can say the Invalidation of Marriage Act. If marriage was not solemnized under the Christian ways, then that marriage was declared as illegal. After the advent of Gandhi, there was major change in the policies of South Africa. Gandhi gave a new dimension of opposition, that is, the peaceful non-violent movement. Gandhi established Tolstoy Farm and he established Natal Indian Congress. Many were inspired by Gandhi and they had established African National Congress. Tolstoy Farm became the headquarters of African National Congress. Gandhi's success in India further boosted the morale of South African leaders. Their struggle against apartheid was very high. In 1960, two leaders of African National Congress, Nelson Mandela and Albert Luthuli, started non-violent protest. Both were arrested and Luthuli died in the jail under mysterious circumstances. Nelson Mandela got lifetime imprisonment. Now let's understand the role of India in ending apartheid in South Africa. India used all the global platform to highlight that discrimination, particularly non-aligned movement platform, has passed resolution in ending the apartheid. India forwarded the proposal for economic sanction on white racist government. Western countries did not respond to the global concern on apartheid. India was the first country started sports boycott of South Africa. Many Asian and African countries followed this. In 1990, South African government, bowing the international pressure, decided to take back the color discrimination. Many laws were abolished. The President of South Africa, F.W. de Klerk, declared the end of apartheid. Nelson Mandela was released after 28 years in jail. Both Klerk and Mandela got joint Nobel Prize as the Peace Prize. There was announcement of election in South Africa. There were three major political parties. First was the Inkatha Party, led by Buthelezi. Second was the African National Congress, led by the Nelson Mandela. And the third was the Nationalist Party, led by F.W. de Klerk. In this election, Nelson Mandela got victory and became the first black president. He invited F.W. de Klerk to become the vice president. He made his historic announcement that Africa is for all, irrespective of caste, religion, and race. He made his foreign visit to India and got the Bharat Ratna. He was the first foreigner to receive Bharat Ratna. Now I am going to discuss about some of the important topics such as the socialism, communism, and capitalism. First is socialism. Social ownership means public or cooperative ownership or any of its mixed form with the objective of equality in society. Socialism is also a political theory, ideology, and movement. Social ownership is important dimension of socialism. Although there is no concrete statement or we can say no concrete definition, but there are many forms of socialism. There is no universally accepted definition. Yet all the scholars are unanimous on the issue of social ownership. From the point of view of convenience of study, socialism can be divided into two classes. First is the idealistic socialism and the second is the scientific socialism. Now let us understand these one by one. First is the idealistic socialism. In 18th century and 19th century, industrial revolution generated huge attraction all over the world. It also created social inequality. Therefore, some socialists started thinking about the idealistic society. Their socialism was very sentimental. Idealistic society means social and economic equality. Idealist Socialists proposed a system of social organization based on social cooperation. Robert Owen, Charles Fourier, Saint Simon, and Louis Blanc were the great idealistic socialists. Next is the scientific socialism. The father of scientific socialism were Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Scientific socialism first began with the publication of the book The Communist Manifesto in 1848. During the revolution of 1848, the Communist Party demanded for the nationalization of banks, railways, canals, and mines, etc., and mass forming on a large scale in Germany. This revolution was suppressed, and Engels and Karl Marx had to run away to Britain. Karl Marx wrote the book Das Kapital in Britain itself. Marx thought that industrial society is the capitalist society. The profits of the capitalists arise from the hard work of the workers. Marx concluded that as long as the private capitalists keep accumulating profits like this, the condition of the workers cannot improve. Karl Marx gave the theory of dialectical materialism. According to the thought of Marx, if the workers wanted to improve their condition, there is a need to overthrow capitalists and the rule based on private property. Marx believed that in order to free themselves from capitalist exploitation, workers would have to form a very different kind of society, in which the whole society will have social control and ownership over all the property. He named this future society as Communist Party. Now we have to understand about the development of socialism. There were many meetings organized to develop socialism, like International Workers' Association, which is also known as the First International 1864, Second International 1889, Russian Revolution 1917, and the Third International, which is known as the Communist International, or we can say the Comintern 1919. Next, we have to understand about the communism. This is the harshest form of socialism. It is dominated elements and it has different forms in different countries, like Lenin and Stalin in Russia, Mao in China, Prachand in Nepal. They formed the ideal state, Soviet Union. Marx said that if not by persuasion, then coercion. There is no private ownership in this, and all the power is in the hand of central government. There is no social discrimination, and production is for the basic need. As we have mentioned, this is supported by Karl Marx. Next is the capitalism. Here the complete ownership is in the hand of private companies. Power is in the hand of market, and there will be complete social discrimination as rich and poor. Production is for the profit only, and Adam Smith was a philosopher and supporter of capitalism. Next is the socialism, which we have already discussed, like limited private ownership is there, power is in the hand of government and the private organization, limited discrimination will be there, and production is for society. Charles Fourier is the supporter of socialism. So with this I am concluding this video. If you find my video interesting, kindly like, share and subscribe. Thank you.